This is one that I'm being selfish here. This is one that I've been waiting for ever since she said yes. Look who I got, boys and girls. It's stirring the pot, Don Kincaid, and I'm going to use the word ultra, my ultra special guest today, Miss Rosalie. Oh my God, thank you. The makeup queen, might I add. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's exciting. I haven't done one of these in a long time.
Oh, hey, this is a great time. I just want to make sure all my stuff is good and I don't have notifications coming on because we don't want, I've done it to more than one person and I got kind of shit on. So I don't want Rosalie. We don't want that on a shaky start.
Oh, I should have done the same thing. I should have put do not disturb.
That's okay. You're Miss Rosalie. It's been so long since I've seen you. We did see you at the Wish on Wheels. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that was the last time, or if not, it was a Slick Wagner Brown show in Connecticut, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Now, for those that don't know who Miss Rosalie, the makeup queen, is, she was a very fan fave in our area. Sometimes not a favorite. You know, you get the booze mixed in there. She was in our area in Connecticut, and her and JC, the spectacular JC Rodriguez, they kind of went down to Florida. We missed them dearly. They came up with a couple surprise shows. We had some fun, but I've still missed you guys dearly. And she agreed to come on because she's still in Florida. And I am so glad you came on because, again, you know, I'm a little silly, a little weird, a little kooky. I've stalked your page. I follow your page all the time and stuff like that. So, hey, so yeah, I appreciate your time. And what this is really about, though, is we like to pull back the curtain a little bit. Mm-hmm. We try to get maybe Ms. Rosalie's story, how she became as the character, the makeup queen, and many other things we'll touch upon. Are you open for stuff like that for the fans?
I'm a very blunt person. You can ask me whatever you want. I'm open to anything.
That could have opened a can of worms. What are you doing? Oh, I'm glad I'm not sipping the moonshine I was with Ref Bill Thompson. Oh my God, that was a blast. Hey, but anyhow, again, thank you. I sound like a broken record, but I'm very excited to have you. And now, again, from Connecticut, you've gone down to Florida. Let's just start there. You've moved from Connecticut. You go down to Florida. You and the Spectacular. Now you've gone down there and you start training. Please let the fans know, what are you doing now? We're going to start there. Weird spot. Don't care. Whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, we're still training. We're still going to Gangrel's Wrestling Asylum as much as we can. We also do a couple shows for him as well, whether it's at his school, you know, we definitely try to support. And then, you know, sometimes it's the Dania Beach shows. So we definitely do try to do that. Gangrel, Dave, he's been phenomenal. Like, come on, like, who does not like Gangrel? Who is not a fan, you know? And it's kind of cool to, you know, have him take you kind of like under his wing, you know, and you become a part of another family. It's great thing.
It looks like you guys are having fun. I see you when you have training. There's usually a little picture. Everybody gets together in the ring. Everybody does a little smile, and you guys look like you're having a blast out there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's Florida. It's South Florida. Like, it's the time where you have fun. Like, we live so close to Miami. It's crazy. And, you know, we're at our prime. We're at this crazy age where it's like, either you try to be an adult or you still try to be a big-ass kid. Like, what it is.
So, can I ask, was that the reasoning behind the move, or was it something, because if it's personal, we don't want to hear about that stuff. But is the wrestling thing, because like you said, you're in your prime, both of you look absolutely glorious and spectacular. You go down to Florida. Is that the reasoning because of the wrestling career?
No, not so much that. I think it was more personal reasons, but it was it was a challenge to just pick up all your shit pretty much and just leave. And you know what? We're almost here 2 years later, and guess where we're at? Like, we're still here.
The training facility that Gangrel has brought up very recently. So you guys got in like at the early tenure of this whole training thing he's got going on down there. You've trained up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
What is different down there in the training process, or is it different than up here?
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but in my wrestling career, I made it a point to look at different schools, not just stick to one. So I've been to probably 6 or 7 different wrestling schools up in Western Mass, and even in Connecticut, New York, Philadelphia. So for me specifically, what's different from South Florida here, it's more, we're all trained the same. It's just we're taught different ways. So either it's lucha style or the correct way and the correct form to do things. But everyone teaches the same thing initially. It's just different variations of what is correct in that point.
Now, I'm not familiar with a lot of the people in there. I try to keep my eye on the pulse. For the fans that don't know about the Gangrel's Wrestling Asylum, is that correct? Right? Is that
correct? Yeah.
Now, for the fans that don't know about that, could you give us some of the top names that are the homegrown, not the WWE vets and all of that. Give us some of the homegrown stuff so we the fans can get on the face page and the Twitter and kind of see what's going on down there.
Well, it's definitely the main people. It's definitely Anna Diaz. She's been GWA Women's Champion. She's such a great person in and out of the ring, and she's like Gangrel's go-to person, and she's such a great person. You guys definitely should check her out. Also, we have the Lucero twins, which is either Tiffany and Nicole. They're both beautiful as well. They definitely remind you kind of like the Bella twins, but a little sass, a little spice to them. And then you also have, oh my God, who else? Lakai. Oh, I love his gimmick. He comes out with a machete, or sometimes he come out with a shovel. So it's pretty cool. He has a lot of different people that you guys should definitely be looking out for, especially down here in South Florida.
And not to slight anybody else that you didn't mention, because the names, when we talk wrestling, sometimes the name get away from us and stuff.
Yeah.
But take some of those names, jot them in your little whatever, because we all got the device in our hands and shit. Take a poke, see who Miss Makeup Queen just said. Check them out. Check out the Gangrel Asylum, because man, good times down there. A lot of fun stuff, and it's Florida. So did you mention something about a beach show? You guys did an outdoor beach show?
No, we wrestled at Dania Beach Casino, and then they're a little closer to the beach, but it is a casino show. It's probably one of the biggest shows that Gangrel does do, and it's actually for a great cause. So whenever anyone in South Florida is available, I think our next show would be May 16th. If God willing, with everything going on. But if anyone's in South Florida, come check it out. Dania Beach Casino.
Again, fantastic times. Now, you take Gangrel. He's talk about a character. In wrestling, it's got to be over the top, larger than life. He's still doing his thing, and he looks fantastic. His physique.
Right.
He's come up to Connecticut at Battlefront. I've seen him a couple times up there, and him and the higher brass at the Battlefront, they know each other very well. And man, that guy, he can still go. He does his whole gimmick really cool. Now, I'm talking Gangrel specifically because you're kind of down there, and I'm not taking away from Rosalie, because we're definitely getting there. But when he came up for the first time, that I haven't seen him in a long time, I took my dad for the very first time a few years back. We were at Blitzkrieg Pro Wrestling at an Italian fest outside, okay? And he comes out, and he's still doing the whole goblet gimmick, and he spits the blood, and I'm like, I can't wait for this, I'm like a kid watching TV outside.
You are, yes.
Yeah. So here comes Gangrel. I've made 2 brand new friends because, hey, we know that I'll talk to anybody. I don't give a crap. So I've made 2 brand new friends sitting next to me. I got my dad to my right on the corner, and Gangrel comes up to our corner on the turnbuckle, spits the blood, and it just goes all over the 4 of us, okay? All 4 of us reaction was this. Me and the 2 friends that I made, we're popping like an MFer. this and that. And I'm like, your pants, they're white. She goes, I don't give an F. I'm never washing these again. And I'm like, oh my God, I got Gangrel blood all over my fucking phone. Holy shit. Here's my dad. I just washed this hat just yesterday. Throws it on the ground, gets all bent in half, and we point and laugh, and we had a great time. It was amazing. It was so much fun.
Dude, that sounds fun.
But my point being of the story, because those are the things that stick with us in wrestling that you guys and girls do, that we soak in. But my point being is Gangrel's character has lived on a long time now in the industry.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific, because I'm sure you've got some stuff up here from Mr. Gangrel. What has stuck out in the Makeup Queen's character or gimmick, and to get her career to progress a little bit more that maybe you didn't have?
Oh my God. To be honest, he taught me to try to be a little bit more aggressive in the ring. And that for me, it's hard because I'm not that person. And it's crazy because this gimmick, it oftentimes develops into something I didn't even know I can create. And so when I can be a little bit more aggressive and put my best foot forward, then that's where I'm like, okay, so there is a method to the madness that we're put through in training. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that's definitely having to be more of a bitch, you know, and mm-hmm. try to seek it from like beginning to end, facial expressions, make sure my face is up at all times. I have longer hair than most, so I have to use that to my advantage. You know what I mean? So it's a lot. It's a lot. He's taught me a lot, especially with psychology. It's a lot.
It sounds like, and you haven't been down there very long, but it sounds like you've gained quite a bit of knowledge and experience from Gangrel to incorporate into your tool, your little tricks of tools that you already had. Excuse me. I don't have the COVID. Okay. Now, when you were here in Connecticut, and again, I flip flop. I'm not that bright. We just jumble all over the place. When you were in Connecticut, you played a good girl. You played a bad girl, the face and the heel, if you will. Explain to us, the fans, how difficult it is to play both, because you're doing it from one place to another. You're not always that good girl in everywhere and the bad girl everywhere. How hard and difficult is that to do?
The hardest part is when I started to develop Makeup Queen, it was set in stone. She was going to be the Makeup Queen. It's all in its name, Makeup Queen. With the name already, you're meant to be hated. And that's exactly what I wanted to perceive. And when I got put into a situation where I had to place the good girl, well, my first 3 years of wrestling, that's all I had to do. So it was kind of easy to switch it, but it's not the character I wanted to play. And sometimes if you don't want to play something, you do it because you have to do it, but not necessarily because you want to. And the way I see my character was going at that moment, I knew that she needed to be a bad girl at all times. But it's kind of hard when you're the hometown person and then you have to be the evil person. That's the most difficult part.
Does it seem to maybe not hinder your performance, but is it in the back of your mind okay, I got to act a little bit differently. I have to embrace the fans instead of maybe taking their boos and using it against them and all of that stuff. Does it kind of hinder? I hate to use the word hinder because you're always fantastic in the ring, but do you have to kind of get a different mindset to do that?
Yeah, you do. There's a difference between being a babyface and being a heel. Being a heel character for me is very easy, very flamboyant. I have to control the whole pace of pretty much the whole pace of the match. But when I'm a babyface, then I have to rely on the other person. You know what I mean? And I have to rely on them as much as I can. And that is, to me, is I like to be in control. I like to be the bad girl. I like to talk crap back to you. I like, Milton, I always like to bust his chops sometimes. I just who I am. I just like to talk smack. That's what I do.
Excuse me. I don't have the COVID. I swear. Seeing Miss Rosalie is absolutely gorgeous, and getting in the ring is not an easy thing, especially for the ladies, it's a much, much harder venture than it is for the guys. I have to say that. Did you find that in the industry first off? And were you brought in the circle of wrestling when you first were coming up?
When I first started training, I started training pretty much being the only girl. So it was just me and a whole bunch of guys. And that for me is my mentality at that point is I have to outbeat these guys no matter what I do. Because you do kind of sense that a lot of guys didn't want to like shoulder tackle me and stuff. And then, but some guys didn't care that I was a girl. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I was like, okay, so it was kind of like my initiation at that point, not to be treated as if I was a girl because, you know, then I feel like I'm slowing everyone else down and I wanted to be in the same playing field as these men because I knew I could do it. Then when I kind of like ventured out, you kind of like stick to your own clique of people that you meet at that point. But I've never felt where like guys would like look at me differently or they didn't want to face me in intergender matches because I was a woman. I've never felt that. No.
Now, so you're very comfortable with the intergender thing, obviously, because you came up into training, correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's absolutely correct.
Again, fast forward. Again, I jump. I don't write nothing down. You know, I mean, what the hell? Why would you want to write anything? But anywho, now let's fast forward. There was a PAPW show. We were at the casino for the very first time, and man, it was that fantastic! Holy crap! And Rosalie happened to be part of that show, and it was for PAPW Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling out of East Haven, and she got to go against. If now, correct me if I'm wrong. Jen.
I don't remember his name. To be honest,
he was a mask. Yeah, he had a masked. He was a masked character, right?
Yeah.
Then it was Jen. Okay, I got the name right. So anywho, so the match is going, blah blah blah, this and that. Rosalie showing them what's up, you know, and she's taking it to Jen out of fucking nowhere. And I have to use the F word on that one because hey, I like to cuss, and I'm giving it that exclamation point. Out of nowhere, she gives him the cutter. He's jumping off of the turnbuckle, and I happen to be right there catching that. I will share that. Yeah, I will share that every single time. The Facebook reminds me, I'm sharing that. Take us through something like that. Who the hell, as a woman, does a cutter off of a man Jen's size in an intergender match? I mean, holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, no, dude. First of all, I definitely want to thank Paul Roma and Mario Mancini for even putting me on the show because there's not a lot of women matches in PAPW. So I was very blessed and honored. And I didn't know this match was going to happen, to be honest with you, because 24 hours prior to the event, I was pretty much told to pretty much show up and not like with no expectations. You know what I mean? Because there was no other girl to face. I didn't know who I was facing. I knew, like, all I knew was, like, it was still a question mark whether I was going to wrestle or not. But I thought it would be, like, a cool experience because it was the first time PFEW was in Mohegan Sun. Like, that's, like, to be like, to be able to say that, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then the match, we ended up talking about it, and I was like, I thought it would have been pretty dope for us to do it. Who has not been wanting to do a cutter out of nowhere? In what indie show? Like, what girl has not been wanting to do this? Like, this was like everything and anything that I wanted to do, like the Headscissors, like the Hurricanranas, everything I wanted to do in the match, I definitely did, and I took full advantage of it. But dude, that was pretty dope. Like, that was one of the most fun matches I've had in such a long time. That it was just like seamless. Like, I didn't have no care in the world. Like, it just happened. It went with the flow, and I seen an opportunity, and I freaking took it. And you know what? It paid off, so it's fine.
Watching you talk about that match, I have not seen anything but this. That beautiful smile has been on point. And not that it hasn't before, but man, you talk about that match and you're remembering it. That's a memory that you won't forget. That's a memory I won't forget. And I'll tell you, Jen will never forget that shit because you took him to the cleaners that day. Now, did you and Jen put that match together, or because Paul Roma, Mario Mancini, as you mentioned, they have a big stake in that company and they want everything to go very well? How did that match get called? And when your ideas came, hey, this is what I'd like to do, they were very receptive to such.
To be honest, I really wasn't pinpointed or told what to do in my match. And
okay.
I think that Mario and Roma had very high expectations of me because I truly didn't want to disappoint, because I was like, damn, like I was given this opportunity to be the only female to wrestle for PFEW, first time in the Mohegan Sun. It's freaking Paul freaking Roma. And then it's Mario Mancini. Like, those are like three things you don't want to disappoint. And then of course Kevin Landry was there, so my trainer was there, so I didn't want to get shit on either. So it was like they gave me pretty much like full control, and I was like, all right, so what do we do that's gonna like make people like want to like see this match again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh.
Hey, I popped like an MFer. I was right there with the crowd. We were all doing it. We were behind you the whole time. And it was a fantastic show. I'll never forget that one. That was a good one right there. Always right. And I don't have too many brain cells left. And that one really sticks. You did speak of Kevin Landry. Now, and I'm going to backtrack after we speak of this. Kevin Landry's your trainer, you just mentioned. Yeah. How was it to have the Mohegan Sun experience? You're on it, and your trainer is also on that card going against Paul Roma.
Yeah. No, he wrestled
oh wait
the Pyramids of Brothers.
Yeah. See, I'm scrambled. I wish
you would have wrestled Paul Roma. That would have been hell of a match.
No, it was Paul. See, if you could remind me, it was Paul Roma and somebody else, obviously now, and I don't know. I forget. Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, you're cool.
but to have Landry on the same card on a big event, historically wise, in our area, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It is. And to be honest, I never like training with Kevin. Like I never would have thought he would be open to come back into wrestling. And then when he told me he was actually wrestling on the show, I was like, bro, get out of here. You're not wrestling. I was like, you're just messing with me. Like, you're going to just go over there to like check up on your students and then leave before like the rest of the show's done. No, he actually came in. He was like, I don't have my own locker room. So he ended up sharing a locker room with me. And then we both have like separate, like, so there was like a little nook. And then, so I took like the little nook. And then of course, like you leave him on his side. But then like, when we're talking about like backstage talk, and then we're like, I'm like just staring at Kevin at one point, and I'm like, dude, I'm on a freaking show that has Paul Roma on it, Kevin Landry, Mario Mancini. I was like, dude, like we're at the Mohegan freaking Sun. Like, what did I do in life to deserve this? Like, it's crazy.
It is, and Kevin didn't hold back either. He had that whole chainmail thing going on, and wow,
he was looking like Spartacus, okay? Like, that's exactly what he reminded me.
Okay, we've talked a little here, little there. Let's go back. You train with Kevin Landry now. At Kevin Landry's Combine in Holyoke, Massachusetts, they have started up some Shut Up and Wrestle shows that are free. And I know your eyes are watching that stuff. They don't charge us a dime for those shows. I don't know how. I don't know why. It's a criminal act. Maybe they should charge us at least 70, 80 bucks a show, because we have some fucking fun out there, man. Maybe not that much. But anyway, Shut Up and Wrestle. Now that place is Kevin Landry's Combine. Now that is the training facility. That is where Rosalie started?
Mm-hmm. It is. Well, I had another wrestling school before I started training at Kevin, so I can't technically say that I started at Kevin. I just don't really mention the other wrestling school's name. But Kevin took me in as being another person's student and kind of just made me into his like little creation. And you know what? Shut Up and Wrestle's been very successful, and we've been kind of in talks maybe to possibly come down. I don't know when. I'm not going to spill any details, but I've been having my eye on a couple stuff, and you know what? I always say, you never forget where you came from, and you know what? You do anything you can for the people that have always supported you. So,
man, well, if you just whisper it real soft, like a specific date, time, your gate that you're boarding off of the plane, any of that information, you could whisper that right now. Nobody would know.
No, it's okay, you guys. Sometimes, you know what? I've booked some shows in Connecticut that no one's ever even like thought that I would show up, and I just hop out of plane and I just start to wrestle, and that's just what it is.
I tell you, I love being a fan and getting those surprises. That's why I don't read the dirt sheets for the bigger companies. I don't want to know what's going on. I love to be a fan.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and that's what comes first.
yeah, you obviously started as a fan. Are you still a fan of? Because what I like to do is gauge the men and women that I've had on here. Do you still watch any of the main product, the WWE, Impact, ROH, any of that main stuff? Because when you're a worker, you've put in a good few years or so, sometimes it kind of gets away from you, or the fandom just stays with you. What is Rosalie? Is she into the wrestling still?
I am. I'm very much into the wrestling. We still watch WWE. I've gotten into watching actually AEW since they started, and I'm really into it. Like, there's some stuff where I don't like follow, but NXT, WWE, AEW is definitely where it is right now. And the creations, you know, people are very creative. And I've taken a couple of things, you know, here and there, but it's the creative side of it. Like NXT is so creative, AEW is so creative. Like innovations like that makes you want to be a better wrestler, especially the women's division. Like who the hell doesn't want to be a women's wrestler right now?
It's a hot iron in the NXT, and I'm not saying just the NXT, but the iron is really hot because they've had so many over the course of NXT, so many women that come in and get on that grander stage. And even if you're still in NXT and you didn't just quite get on that SmackDown or Raw roster, if you will, dude, you're still in one of the hottest brands going right now of being NXT. So, I mean, they're producing a lot of women, and it's very accepting in the wrestling industry. It's taken some time. Yeah. And I know it wasn't always accepted like this. So that's why, and previously I asked if that inner circle brought you in like that, because it's not always the easiest thing as being a woman in the industry.
Right. It's not. It's really not. And you know what? But I've been very lucky and fortunate in my kind of like career, I would say. In the last 6 years, you know, I've been very blessed to do a lot of women's shows and like shown more of women empowerment. And I came up in an era where women's wrestling was just starting. But I was lucky enough to do Lucky Pro Wrestling, who did their first all-women show. NECW all-women show. Like I was lucky enough to do all-women shows in what, Maine, New York, Jersey, Massachusetts. And that to me, to have an all-women's locker room, that's definitely where it is, to be honest.
A total different ambiance, a total different environment. Now, as an all-woman, now you've got my curiosity, because I was supposed to go to 2 separate companies, all women show, and I wasn't able to get either one of them because of whatever BS happening. But now that you mention that, does the crowd react different when it's just an all women's featured event? Because I'm just feeling that the ambiance is so different. Is the crowd any hotter than you feel in other shows, or any different at all?
I think it's the pressure. Because you do know it's an all-women show. You want it to be like the best show anyone in that crowd has ever had, and no man is going to be on the card. And I'm not saying that men are better than women, but there's some men at a certain caliber. But an all-women show, like the crowd reacts to a certain way. They're a little bit more electrifying. They're a little bit more like into the show, into our maneuvers, into our talent, rather than what we're looked at. You know what I mean? Like we're not just eye candy. Like these girls can actually freaking work, dude. And that, to be in like a show with more than 10 women matches and having a women main event match that probably sold out a crowd, that's freaking dope, dude. Like it is. And the crowd reactions to an all-women show, to be honest, you have to be there to like feel it, because it gives you the biggest rush. Like when my music hits for an all women show, to be honest, like I get goosebumps and then you want to cry because it's like, damn, dude, like it's an all women show. Like this is dope. Like you don't really get to say that. You really didn't. Not back then.
And your emotions, even where you're at now, your emotions still get the best of you when you're in that environment. You're uh, everything because of that environment. That's amazing, man. Or ma'am, I don't know, man, dude, I don't know. Uh, now we talk about the NXT and such. Now Florida, Georgia, not that far away, and right in Georgia, you've got hey, NWA. They've come up. They're really cool, small studio environment, old school. Got the podium doing the promos. Wow, I love that stuff because I'm not that young, and I love me some of that old school shit. Are you digging the NWA? And since you're so close to NWA, would Rosalie maybe take a trek over there and see what's good?
I actually have not seen the NWA stuff. I mean, I've seen like bits and clips on like Twitter and stuff where people share. But I mean, I have seen like their setup, and it reminds me a lot like PFEW setup, if I'm not mistaken, like the really blue kind of thing. But I think it's pretty cool. Like I think they had two women's matches at one, I think in one show, and it was like Ashley Vox, which she is in like based out of Rhode, and I think that's pretty dope though. Like the fact that they're putting two women's matches like in one night, like that's like it's just women. Like women is taking over the freaking world, dude. Like I would absolutely be honored if I can probably wrestle for one time for NWA. I would totally be honored.
I do mention to the guys and girls that I talk to, some of them seem to be a very perfect fit, and you as well, because you've got the Melinas, and those women in there. I think you do some really fun stuff in there. But now I also want to go, since we were talking all women companies, you've got the Shine, you've got the Shimmers. Have you ever thought about getting into something like that? Because we see the Martinez and all the big names come through those two companies. Have you ever ventured or reached out to those companies at all?
Not to those specifically. I mean, I have reached and done like seminars and like tryouts and stuff for Women's of Honor. I have done that. I haven't tried yet for like Shine or Shimmer. But I haven't really heard that they were like doing tryouts yet. But once I do hear, then I'll like, kind of like peek through a little bit to see.
Hey, you never can tell. I can't wait to see if you could see Rosalie on NWA. You could see Rosalie on Shimmer, Shine, NXT, SmackDown, Raw, right. AEW. You never know. But now you were talking about different styles of wrestling, the lucha and stuff. Now you seem to be very comfortable, like you said, the head scissors, the hurricanranas, the katas out of nowhere, and such. Was that something you were comfortable with on the upcoming, or was it something you've developed in your experience as a wrestler?
That's something I've developed. I cannot say like getting off my feet, I'm very comfortable. It's very rare that I do get off my feet. I don't like to fly. I don't like to do any of that. But I think once I saw an opportunity to it, I wanted to really do it and challenge myself to do it. But no, that was not the easiest thing for me. I think trying to learn the head scissors or trying to learn a hurricanrana is probably the most terrifying thing because you're up in the freaking air. Like you have no control of what's about to happen if this person just drops you. You have absolutely no control, and I think that's my biggest fear. But I think as like far over the years, and then how to kind of land, and and you kind of take control of your own body. Sometimes you would only pray and hope if this person does let you go that you would land safely somewhere in the ring.
Excuse me, I'll tell you, I get in the ring, but not with anybody else. I make sure I'm by myself. If I'm just taking a picture, so I don't want anybody in that ring. No. I would never do that. No, because I've always said it takes so much guts and sacrifice and all of this stuff to be a wrestler. But just to get in that ring and to learn how to bump alone, what they call a bump, getting you splash on your back and you try to get that good position and you try to make it feel comfortable so you don't kill yourself in there. Just to take a basic bump, it sounds horrible. And I don't even want no part of it. Just that alone. And to get off your feet, do the spinny twirly shits, that's gotta be it's gotta be testifying because I'm scared of heights too. I don't want to be twirling around in the air. So and I don't know if you're familiar with Mr. Chris Cannon out of Shut Up and Wrestle and such. He would probably call me the biggest pussy right now, but that's okay. Hey, it is what it is,
But you know what it is? We're trained with Kevin, and with Kevin, before you even could do anything else, I kid you not, it would be 100 bumps. I don't care if it was just a regular back bump, a front bump, a flip bump, a handstand bump. It didn't matter. You had to do 100 of them. And then once you did the 100, it would be like one more. And it was a never ending one more. So if he ever tells you one more, never believe him. I kid you not, because one more ends up turning to 50. And then by that time, you're so gassed. And then he's like, oh, you need to take a break. Never take the break. Don't you ever take the break. That's how it is. So that's why when you say that, I'm just like, oh, you've been training at Kev's because it's never one more.
That's a little helping hand from one makeup queen to anybody who's training under the tutelage of Kevin Landry. Hey, good advice, Rosalie.
Yeah. I could definitely tell you that from experience. It's never one more.
Now, I still go there regularly because of the Shut Up and Wrestles. I've actually gone down there and done some sit down, stirring the pot interviews. And I see a lot of familiar faces that have been trained by Kevin Landry are really doing some stuff. I love me some great Nuka. Cannon fears Nuka. Don't let him ever tell you anything different. And you've got Nuka, you've got Cannon, you've got the new Big Juicy, you've got, the guys like the Pyramids of Power who've been around a bit, and RJ Boom and JC Rodriguez, your man, my man. I love JC Rodriguez. Now, is JC trained through Landry's? Because I'm assuming is he?
Yeah, 100% he started. Yeah, we're all natural blood from Kev.
Yeah, I mean, some of my fave men and women that I get to see are all from Kevin Landry's combine. And you guys and girls, you've got great characters. The psychology, you put on a good performance in the ring. And if you've noticed of any of the footage at Shut Up and Wrestle, the crowd has been building little by little. And we absolutely love it. And it's been kind of fire up there. So get over here. Let's have some fun with Rosalie and some JC. You've got to get over here.
Yes. We would love to definitely come down, and I've spoken to Kev, and we've spoken to Abe, and we've spoken to a couple people, and we've spoken to Nuka, and we all would like to kind of come down and, do a show just for Kev, Trust me, it's in the works. We're stirring the pot.
All right. I mean, that was like a second time I'm trying to get it out of you. I was just trying to make
I know. I caught that. I got you.
Yeah, you're too smart for me. It doesn't take much, really. Damn. Now, I usually wear this test of strength hat on my interviews because I don't have much going on the top anymore, and I'm usually kind of chilly, but I'm pretty comfortable. I'm a little warmer because I have the beautiful Rosalie here. Test of strength. Can you tell us a little bit of the history with Rosalie, Test of Strength, your relationship with Slick Wagner Brown? Everybody loves that, man. Give the fans a little bit of history with Rosalie and Test of Strength.
Dude, the first time I met Slick Wagner Brown, I think it was at an RWA show. We're going to take it all the way back to when I think they went first to the Eco Lodge in, I want to say it was Springfield. And we just happily sat next to each other, and we were like literally just cracking jokes. And I remember him because his laugh is very distinct. He has the most distinctive laugh that I've ever witnessed in my life. So anytime he laughs, I would laugh. Like Mario Mancini, very distinct laugh. Like when he laughs, because it's the most enjoyable laugh of life. Like then it makes you laugh. So that's the first time I've ever met Slick. And then he messages me on Facebook one day, and then this is when he wanted Test of Strength to start coming. and it was day 1. And I remember I was like, okay, this will be pretty cool. I was wrestling Delmy at the time. I think I wrestled Delmy and Ashley like probably like my full like first, second year of wrestling. So I was like, oh, that's cool. But Slick and being a test of strength, he put me on to a lot. I kid you not. Like being from day 1 to I don't know, like day 23, like that's kind of cool. Like, and then he didn't. It wasn't like he owed me anything. You know what I mean? Like trying to book the only girl. And sometimes I didn't have a spot, but he made sure like I had a spot on his show. Either I was like doing like ringside like interviews or something. He always made sure like he put me somewhere in the show. And you know what? Like that to me is an honor. You know, because it's kind of cool. Like even though you don't get to wrestle, you still get to be a part of the show.
Yeah.
And then he invited us to go train with him. Now, training with Slick Wagner Brown is no joke because I hate going over backwards. I have no problem like eliminating myself in a battle royal. Like I have no problem doing that. But going backwards, like I'm not meant to do that. And he kept pushing and he pushes and he pushes. So if you ever train with Slick Wagner Brown, if you can't go backwards, he's gonna push you because he sees something in you. But you know what, baby girl, don't go that way. Until this day, I still can't go that way. So you know what? There's my story with Slick Wagner Brown.
Hey, these are these are the things that we would never, as fans, we would never get to hear unless you would spend a little time chatting, chit-chatting, shooting. Yeah, so thank you for sharing those things. That's what we like, you know?
This is real life stuff. This is real life stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Now, your relationship, and I have to, not detailed again, not personal, but yourself, JC Rodriguez, you're an item, been an item for quite some time. Spectacular, beautiful, mix it together. You've got, holy shit, this crazy power wrestling couple. Now, we talk, well, I like to bring up a support system in wrestling because you could have a decent mindset. You could have a good look. You could have a character. You could have training. You could have all of these cool tools that makes you a wrestler. But without your mom, your dad, your sister, whatever, your dog, your cat, you got to have somebody. You and JC are both wrestlers. That has to be some of the most greatest support systems for each other coming up in wrestling. Could you talk to us about what, having that?
To be honest, like we're like each other's go-to people kind of. And anytime like we have like a cool idea like we can think of, because JC's more of a psychology wrestler. Like, and that's something that Kevin embedded to us when we were starting to train, but he grasped it. He got a hold of like the psychology of wrestling earlier in his career, like earlier before I have. So anytime I had a match and I had like a question, like I want to do this certain move, but I don't know where I should fit it. Like, where can I fit it that is actually going to make sense? Where like, it's going to be like you're high and then you're low. Like you're going to have the crowd here or you're going to have the crowd here. Like it has to be in a point where like this move is so dope. It has to be at a high. And then he would just tell me like this, like, hey, like this is what like you would have to do to make this like move work. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. And then it'll be like pretty dope. And I'll be like, oh shit, like he was actually right. Like I can't tell him he was right, but he was right. Look, we'll just keep it like that. Or like he'll like bounce ideas off me, like, hey, like I'm wrestling this guy, like what should I do? Like how should I start it? And then, I think the best part is bouncing ideas off each other, because sometimes you're such a huge fan of wrestling and you're a huge fan of each other, like we're each other's like biggest fan, that we kind of want to see each other succeed. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're the first person there to cheer. We're the first person there behind the curtain to be like, oh, good shit, good match. Like, oh shit, you actually won a title. Like that's pretty cool. Like first person that after I won my PFEW title, like the first person behind the curtain was JC. Like that's just what it is. And I think it's pretty cool 6 years later and he's still behind the curtain.
I spoke to Ms. Big Juicy. She's a new hot thing out of Kevin Landry's combine.
Yeah,
and
I see all the stuff.
Her boyfriend is Cody Lee, another out of Kevin Landry's combine.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to Miss Big Juicy. We had a nice little sit down. But she came in on a fan roundtable. It was an experimental thing that I did last night. We got like 5 fans, myself, or four or 5 fans. And then out of nowhere, I got Miss Big Juicy to come in on the fan roundtable. It was really fun as a surprise.
Right.
But my point being is Cody Lee came in on the bit, and we brought up the fact that they mess around with each other and like chain wrestle in the living room just for shits and giggles to kind of try stuff on. Is that something that you and Mr. JC
Let me tell
do?
you, let me tell you. What I've been through with Mr. Spectacular One, okay? I've gotten my head hit in the ceiling because this mother effer is 6'5". Okay, he don't fit in most houses. So if I don't have an 11-foot ceiling and he tries to like do like his like special move or tries to give me a power bomb, my head initially hits the ceiling, and I'm the type of person like whether I'm in pain or I'm crying or something, I always laugh. So he doesn't know what laugh I tend to do, whether I'm hurt or I think it's actually freaking hilarious. But what I haven't been through is crazy. How I haven't broken an arm or a bone is crazy. But one of these days I'll go through the wall and I'll take a picture of it. And I'm like, see, this is why you can't freaking hate a freaking wrestler.
This is why we can't have nice things.
No, dude, no. I anything that's like fancy nice is like put away like in a closet where no one gets to enjoy the beauty of it because nothing's safe in this house.
Oh my God, that is effing hilarious. Oh my, I'm envisioning many things that you guys just tearing shit apart, man. That is awesome. Oh my God.
Dude, I was telling him the other day, if we were to ever have a YouTube channel, the funniest shit that we do in our household and the things that we put each other through, like we would probably be like millionaires by now.
Oh my, well, hey, give it a whirl one day. What the hell? We're all kind of cooped up in this whole COVID thing. I mean, come on. Oh God. I would pop. I would pop like you were guys were wrestling in the ring. Believe me.
Oh God. Oh Lord.
Now in Test of Strength, we were talking. You know a lot of the people that were there, but I don't know if you know everybody that's been on the upcoming. And I hate to bring their name out, but I hope you're familiar with them. The Firm. Are you familiar with The Firm? I hate saying that.
Yeah. Remember, I think I wrestled them, right? I wrestled them like on a tag team the last Test of Strength show that they had in like Connecticut at that new building. I think it was just me, JC, Robo.
Yeah, it was us three. It was 3-on-3.
Was it 3-on-3?
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually they're not that bad. I won't take nothing away from them because that match was actually pretty fun to do. But I think we still won that match if I'm not mistaken. But I would like a rematch because you know what? Sammy owes me one.
Sammy just had one hell of a match. Sammy Diaz was the K1 Classic Kowalski K1 Classic trophy holder. They use it as a championship, which I think is one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, when you do a once a year thing, that's cool. But they use this cup as a trophy. I think that's even cooler,
Yeah.
So he's the former. he's the former champ. It was Sammy Diaz, Mike Skyros, the Moonlight Sun, and Brian Pillman Jr. at Lone Survivor 2 at the Deuce in Northampton, Mass. Holy shit, Rosie. I really wish you were there. It was something special. It was the main event. All 3 of those guys shined. Mike Skyros came out the victor. I just love Test of Strength so much. They're such good times over there.
They are doing good stuff. Anytime I see them on Facebook Live, we do watch them. Like any Test of Strength, like if we're home on a Sunday and they're on, like we're gonna watch. Like we're really curious to see, because some of these guys we've wrestled with, and sometimes like I was really excited for Sammy. You got to wrestle freaking Brian freaking Pillman, like Junior, like what? Like that's kind of a dope experience to have. In wrestling, you can't be a hater for other people. You can't. And so when you see these guys have these crazy opportunities like that, you have to be like, you know what? That's actually pretty dope. Like you actually get to like wrestle Brian, like, Pillman Jr. And that's cool. Like that's really cool.
Now, I don't know if you know this about me, but I like promos. You know, Don Kincaid, Center Ring, you know, all of that. But they did a little promo thing. Mike Skyros kind of led the way, if I'm not mistaken, and it went to this thing, and then oh my God, the most funny shit. Brian Pillman Jr. responded and never mentioned the champ's name, not one bit. And then Sammy Diaz came back and bitched about how Brian Pillman never mentioned. Oh my God, what a bunch of fun. Promos. Do you find yourself comfortable doing the promo thing?
Yes and no. I think you know, a lot of people don't know this, but Jace, I was very fortunate and lucky enough to travel with a group of people. And that group of people would be like JC, Abe, Jace, and you know, but the original three were just JC and Abe and myself. And then Jace kind of like tagged along after a while. But we always did this thing where in the car rides, we would have a pre-promo before the show. And we did that every single day of a show.
Really?
And at first, I hated it. I didn't want to do it. I hated it. But you know what? To be honest, the one and only time that I actually got the microphone, it was Battlefront Pro Wrestling. And then Dan said, Rose, you have to open the show. And I remember it was like June 2nd, like in Chicopee for the, what was it? The bike show from outside? The Thunder in the Valley show. So he was like, oh, you have to open the show. I was like, holy shit. No one ever gave me a mic before. I was like, how you supposed to expect me like open the show with a microphone I've never opened? But you know what? If it wasn't because we did those promos every single day, anytime we would actually go out to wrestle, I probably wouldn't even felt comfortable enough to grab a microphone.
So that's your peers helping you to elevate. That's good stuff right there.
And to this day, we still do it. 6 years later, every time we have a show, before the show, we have a pre-show promo.
Nice.
And to this day, like, that's how it is. But, you know, now, like, I don't really get as scared when someone tells me, hey, Rose, like, can you really shoot a promo really quick? Do I like to do it? No. But can I do it? Yeah. If I put in the situation.
Now, I know we're here for one makeup queen, Rosalie, but I've been kind of hearing a little helping hand in the background. Is that spectacular? The spectacular JC Rodriguez with you?
Yeah, he actually just stepped out just like literally like just 2 seconds ago.
Oh, man, that's me, late to the party. Son of a bitch. Oh,
no,
man.
You're good. He's always here. We're always together.
Okay. But I figured maybe we could. He's a big guy. I know he wouldn't even fit in the frame, even if he just, and all we seen was his chest. That's fine. Just a little quick high. Now you and JC Rodriguez, you hit the roads, and what I like to do is get some road stories. Maybe something that kind of sticks out of the mind. See, look at you. You're laughing already. You've got something. You've got something at the ready. Come on, give us the fans. You're on the road. It could be you. It could be Jace. It could be whoever you're with. Give us something fun that we could take a little ride with.
Like wrestling related or like non-wrestling?
Yes, wrestling related.
Okay. Let's see. I mean, there's so many fun stories that I can tell, but oh Lord.
But you can't tell them all, so you have to be
I have to pick one good one that involves like AB because, like I said, like there would be like we're all together. Like, so which one should I say? Oh, he probably will kill me if I say something now. So JC and I have this thing where whoever drives, there's no sleeping in our car, first of all. That's the number one rule when we travel, especially we go 8 hours. You don't sleep in our car because it's not fair for the person driving because we're all just as tired. So we always try to make the road trips fun. But there's one time we come back really late from a show from New York and AB, honest Abe, decides that he's going to fall asleep. Now, knowing JC, because I don't drive at night. I really don't. But I mean, there is a funny story with one time I did drive at night. But so I don't drive at night. But JC was like, Abe, there's no sleeping in the car. But Abe is one of those people where he sleeps for anything. I kid you not. He'll snore with his eyes open. So we don't know when he's sleeping. So all we hear in the back is snoring. Then next thing you know, JC was like, I was like, damn, Paige, you had to take like the exit. So he goes to take the exit, but we like almost miss the exit. So we do a huge turn and Abe's head hits the window. And I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And I'm one of those people where I start laughing and I can't stop laughing. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, bro, we told you there's no sleeping in the car. Like, why would you even try it? But those are good memories. Like, those good memories.
And that's why I like to see if I can maybe drag one out of you guys and girls, because as soon as I say road stories, look at you. You're still smiling. You got that beautiful smile kicking.
Another story that we got pulled over, and I know that JC would like start laughing because this was totally my fault. Like, I'm not even a kid. Like, in our wrestling history, we've only gotten pulled over twice in our lives, right? And that's actually not that bad in 6 years if you think about it. Like, it's not that bad. For the amount of, like, miles we travel, it's really not that bad. But those 2 times, for some reason, just happens to be me that I get pulled over. So, we're driving, again, thank you so much, Paul Roma and Mario Mancini, for ever putting me in phenomenal situations in my earlier career. But I got the opportunity to wrestle ODB from TNA in Indiana. So we travel to Indiana. Okay, we drive back. It's SummerSlam. I want to get home in time to watch freaking SummerSlam on Sunday. And we have a 13-hour drive ahead of us. So I'm like, we're going to get home at before SummerSlam. We are. So we end up, Indiana, we're in like the turnpike. We hit the Ohio border. So there's this in Ohio, freaking speed limit is like 75. So I'm going 90. And there's like a person behind me that's like tailgating me. So I kind of pull over to the side and I'm still going 90. The guy and I made eye contact. And so I kind of got pissed off because I'm like, dude, like, you literally tailgating me to go slow. So I kind of like gassed it a little bit and kind of cut him off. Needless to say, this mother effer was a cop. So me talking shit in the car, right? Next thing you know, it's a white Charger. And next thing you know, of course, the lights get turned on. And I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. I kid you not. But you know what? It was only 10 minutes into our freaking drive. So that means I had 12 freaking hours, okay, with the freaking ticket, pissed off, that I still have to drive home.
To get there for SummerSlam.
Yes, to get there in time for SummerSlam. And then the cop really asked me, he was like, you know how fast you were going? And of course, like, I was going 90 miles an hour. And he's looking at me like, speed limit 75. Like, that's why I got the ticket, because I was being honest. But you know what?